So my name is Brenda Lacey-Smith. I'm the Manager, Education and Training and the Head of the School of Consulting Engineering. I'd like to welcome everybody to the webinar today for the BCE Information webinar or session. We have a few, what I call outside of South Africa delegates. We've got some delegates from Botswana. So thank you very much, even what I'd call international delegates attending today to find out more about the BCE. If I could ask you to put questions in the chat box, and at the end, there'll be lots of opportunity to ask questions. And so I don't want to hold up the process. So let me introduce the team and we can get started. So today, as I said, my name is Brenda. The overview of the BCE program is going to be done by Craig Clark. He's the BCE lead or technical program director. And here we go, he's waving nicely then. We have Diane Liebenberg, she's a module convener, and we have Billy Galal. We also have other conveners, but we just thought the three would be enough today. And then later on in the program, you'll hear from three of our past students who will really let you know how they felt about the BCE and how far they've taken it in their career. So we're going to have Unkaleleko, we're going to have Sam, and we're going to have Darren, and I'll let them introduce themselves. But I'm going to hand over to Craig so that he can get the program started. Thanks, Craig.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for attending and welcome. And I really hope you're going to get something out of this webinar to make you think about joining us next year in the BCE program. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the history and the broad outline of the program, and then Diane and Billy will give you a lot more detailed information. Okay, so this program probably goes back about 15 years when, and I can personally vividly remember the day that I met, I knew her already, but I bumped into Brenda Lacey-Smith and Celia Mullane at a CESA function in Johannesburg, and we started talking about training and the need for training of young consulting engineers. And in fact, it reminded me also of the time that I spent overseas at FIDIC conferences in talking to delegates from other countries from all around the world. And it struck me how there was this desperate need for training of young engineers in consulting engineering, because consulting engineering is very different from, should we say, the more traditional engineering careers that people follow. Consulting engineering is all about designing and constructing, and there is a huge essential need for technical skills, but there's also equally a need for other soft skills, and none of us get taught that at our universities and colleges. We get taught all the technical stuff, but not the soft skills, and that is what we find is so lacking, not only in South Africa, but throughout the world. So we, in about 2010, we sat down and really started putting this program together, and it took us nearly 2 years to do that, because we went about it in a really structured, formal manner. We brought in an education specialist who had nothing to do with engineering. She was a wonderful lady, that Jenny Cornish, and she understood everything about education and how to put together programs of this nature. And so what we ended up with was a really structured program. and it was developed by a whole big team of industry leaders. We had specialists from all aspects of consulting engineering that gave input and assisted us in putting this program together to cover everything that we think is necessary in the daily life of a consulting engineer. So if we can just move on to the next slide, please, Diane. So yeah, why enroll for the BCE program? We've already said it's intended to develop non-technical skills for young professionals. We assume, and I'm sure we can rightly assume, that every one of our students that enters the program are highly skilled technical professionals. They've all got engineering or other qualifications. They know that side of it. So we focus totally on non-technical skills. It's definitely aimed at engineers who are relatively new to consulting engineering. And Billy's going to explain to you the sort of entrance criteria for the program. But basically, ideally, we're looking for engineering graduates with something like 2 to 3 years experience in a consulting engineering firm. Having said that, I can promise you that the BCE program will improve your skills at any level. And I say this in total and absolute honesty, that I spent nearly 40 years in a consulting engineering firm and in CESA. I thought I knew it all. But the last 10 years of my life since I started taking part in the BCE program, can honestly say that I've learned more in this time than I learned in my 40 years as a real consulting engineer. And I learn every day. And if you join this program, you will learn that too. You will learn from your fellow students, you will learn from the presenters, and you will just develop yourself. So, it certainly is a benefit to anyone at any level in a consulting firm. And it also can benefit non-engineers working in consulting engineering environment. We have a number of project managers that work for consulting engineering firms. We have people involved in finance and administration that have taken part. They also benefit hugely from this program. It's also relevant to anyone from a one-man practice to large multinational firms. And I can promise you, every single year, we have a range of students from one-man practices to large multinational firms. Every single year, we have it this year, certainly every year. There's also a very strong focus on personal development, improving the quality of work that you do, and moral and ethical issues. And again, you'll hear more about it just now, but we have a specialist in human relations, I hope that's the correct term to use, who really does some exciting work with the students, helping you to identify, understand, and develop your personal skills. This is not a management program. It's not a management program aimed at turning you all into managers, but it certainly will prepare you for a future leadership role in consulting engineering, in your firm, in yourself. And I think if I look back and look at what has happened to all our graduates over the last 10 years, they have all done extremely well in their firms. So it really, really prepares you and helps you to develop your leadership skills. And then finally, and it's a question which I'm sure we'll be talking about during question time, the BCE program, or Business of Consulting Engineering, I'm sorry, I'm so used to using the acronym BCE, I kind of forget that its real name is Business of Consulting Engineering. That's what it is. It's not an accredited formal program, but it is certainly recognized within CESA, within Consulting Engineers South Africa, as being a wonderful program. And what we are definitely finding is that our graduates are increasingly getting respect and recognition in the industry. So not an accredited program formally in any formal education, what's the right word, quality, like a SACWA recognized program, but it is certainly a wonderful program. And yeah, just to what we always say is you are all good engineers, but we're going to turn you into excellent engineers. Finally, I think I've got one more slide to go, Diane. What is the program? Now, I think this is probably the most important point that we need to get across to you. And I know that Diane and Billy are both going to explain this as well. It is not just another short course. The BCE, the Business of Consulting Engineering program, is far, far more than that. It certainly needs huge commitment from yourself as an individual, and it needs commitment from your firm to support you. And I may just say that from the firm's point of view, it doesn't require a lot of time. It doesn't require a lot of time out of the office, but it does require your workplace to support you. And when you need assistance and advice, you must be able to get that from your firm. So we put a large measure of importance on that aspect. So a lot of hard work, a lot of self-discipline. You're going to have 4 different learning modules, which Diane will explain, with a weekly online contact session and many written assignments. Now, I may just say that we meet every Tuesday afternoon currently, and it seems to work. I'm sure that's what we'll do next year and in future. So we have a session every single Tuesday from about 1 o'clock until about 5:30 in the afternoon. And during those sessions, we have lectures and presentations from specialists, as well as many group discussions. We break ourselves into little groups and have discussions, and we do activities in the classroom. And then there are many written assignments which you must go home and do at home. And when I say home, I mean at home, not during work time. That's not the intention. So it requires an awful lot of hard work from the students. There is a student agreement, and you and your firm and CESA all have to adhere to the guidelines. Let's call it the guidelines, but it's really the rules of the game. So yeah, you have to apply to that. I've already told you that the Business of Consulting Engineering program was developed by a whole panel of industry experts. There must have been at least 50 or more various experts that took part in the development of the learning content and the learning material. So it was a huge effort went into that, and we are constantly reviewing and improving the program. So it's not just the same old pieces of paper and books that are pulled out every year. We are constantly reviewing it and altering it and adapting it to the business situation in our consulting world. And I mean, one of the things that has certainly happened in the last 2 years is the conversion from actual classroom teaching situation where the program was presented in Johannesburg. And then, yes, last year, obviously it was forced upon us by COVID, but I think in many ways it's the best thing that's ever happened to our program. It's now totally online, and it's changed the way we do things, and I think it's changed it hugely for the better. So we see that as a big plus. I haven't got the exact figures, but something like 130 successful graduates over the last 10 years. And then finally, can I just say that in our opinion, this is a completely unique product. The BCE program, to the best of our knowledge, is not produced anywhere else in the world. The International Federation of Consulting Engineers, FIDIC, they do have an excellent and very extensive training program, but it is somewhat differently focused, and it probably focuses more on management than the actual work of a consulting engineer. It is an excellent program, and anyone who gets an opportunity to join the FIDIC program should do so, but ours is different, and I believe that our South African Business and Consulting Engineering program really focuses on the work that a consulting engineer does every single day of their lives as a consulting engineer. So it's a wonderful product. It's world-class, and we've had fantastic feedback. Is this another slide of mine? Or is this your slide, Diane? This is my slide, my final one. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, Craig.
Sorry, I was getting lost. Okay, so we have a total of about 120 hours of online contact time. It's over about a 9-month period. I've told you an afternoon class every week, and that consists of 2 or 3 lectures, and then followed by, during the following week, the submission or preparation and submission of a written assignment. So you have your lectures on a Tuesday afternoon, and then from the Wednesday through to the following Monday, you have to prepare your assignment for that session, and you submit it. There are over 50 different topics, 50 different lectures presented by about 15 different experts, and Diane will explain that. There's also a rather unique CESA online student portal, which Diane will also explain. You are given individual support by being allocated a facilitator or mentor from the BCE team, who's there to help you whenever you need help with your work, as well as the convener or module convener for the particular subject. So there's lots and lots of individual support available. There's lots and lots of training material available on our CESAnet. You get a textbook, you get various very detailed notes on legal and financial and contractual matters. So there's a huge amount of reference material that you receive. And then finally, every single assignment is evaluated, and I'm carefully choosing my word. We don't mark work. We evaluate the work. It goes through an extensive process of being, if you want to call it, marked. And then the whole team of conveners gets together and moderates the results of the marking to ensure consistency amongst us. And you then receive detailed feedback on the results of your assignment. And then finally, there is an exam at the end of the year, which is simply there not to, as the traditional exam of pass and fail. Yes, you do have to achieve a certain result in the exam, but it's really there as an overall, the formal word is summative assessment of the work that you've learned over the year. So I think I've probably run well over my time. I'm going to hand you back to Diane now, and she will carry on with the next few slides, and there'll be lots of question time at the end. So thank you very much. Over to you, Diane.
Great. Thanks, Craig. And welcome to everyone who's joined our BCE information webinar. I'm basically just going to go through the 4 modules that we do. As Craig explained, we have 50 topics, and they're divided into our different modules. The first module is a consultant engineering environment module. The second one deals with project delivery. The third module goes into law, and the fourth module goes into financial issues. So I'm just going to quickly take you through each module in a little bit more depth. For the first module, I head up the first module. I actually started way back in 2012 when the BCE launched, but then I was just a subject matter expert. This year, I've been very lucky. I've been invited to do be the convener for the first module. The first module is a bit different. It deals with the consulting engineering environment as a whole. So we have lots of subject matter experts that come in on module 1. I think our very big focus in the first module is personal development. And this is headed up by Ron Walter. And he really takes you through your paces with your personal development. He does a really good negotiation skills exercise where we all get together, we break away into rooms, and we go through a negotiation process. He deals a lot with stress management, which we find is very important now, especially with COVID and just different working environments, and how to actually manage your personal life and your professional life. He looks at things as like time management, problem solving, communication, teamwork, and conflict management. So a big part is the personal development, but then we also go and have a look at what else is out there in our engineering environment. And Chris Campbell from CESA comes in and chats about the industry as a whole. We have Craig Clark that goes into engineering firms. We have Sam from Aon who comes in, and she goes into the health and safety and construction issues, as well as going into PI cover and what is it and what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. Sonia from Zatari is brilliant with her sustainable development. So she tells you what you should be doing with your project delivery. Zilk, one of the founding conveners, comes in with ethics and integrity in your business. Sandra does a lot of technical skills and writing skills. And then Craig Lembo does a lot on economics. So it's a very well-rounded module. It gives you a very broad overview of what's out there in the consultant engineering environment. The second module deals specifically with project delivery, and that's headed up by Billy Galal, who's also going to speak to you later on today. Billy's an electrical engineer with years of experience in the industry. His main focus is project delivery, and in his module, he takes you right from the start of a project. So from the concept stage, right through to project completion. And he touches on things like communications and meetings, how to manage meetings in your projects. He deals with client relationships. He looks at how to do construction management, how to do site inspection. So he really does do the whole project delivery sort of experience. And what's very nice is because of all his years that he's spent in the industry, he's got lots of ideas that he shares with you, lots of things that happened in his experiences he shares with you. And it really sort of gives you a very good idea of what project delivery is all about. I basically support Billy looking a lot at your quality and risk management. We also go into how to plan your projects, how to put controls into place, how to problem solve, how to manage changes, and managing documentation. So between the two of us, we really do take you through the paces of project delivery. The third module is our law module, and this is headed up by Mike Riverola. Now, Mike is a mechanical engineer. He got his degree from UCT. He's also done numerous postgraduate studies in arbitration, specifically in the construction industry. So he really delves into legislation and procurement requirements. He unpacks professional services agreements, and he also looks at conditions of contracts for construction projects. Now, Mike is supported in the law module by Hugh Lane, and Hugh is a retired attorney that practiced both in Durban and in Johannesburg. And Hugh's main area of interest is technology law, and that's particularly engineering and construction contracts. So we really have some wonderful experts when it comes to law and just understanding what does it mean in our engineering environment. What do we need to understand from a legal point of view? Then the last module, and certainly not the least module, is the finance module. And this is headed up by Jeff Mendelowitz. Jeff also is a civil engineer. He got his degree from WITS, and he also got his MBA from WITS. Jeff also has years and years of experience behind him. And he also headed up a specialist banking business sector. And this gives him a lot of expertise in the financial area. So he really is he's got lots of experience in the financial part and really can unpack, what is WIP, what is an income statement, what's balance sheet. And it really does take you through the paces when it comes to managing your financials in a consulting engineering firm. He is supported by Alex Norkia and as well as Craig Clark, and both of them have years and years experience in our industry. And then finally, just to introduce you to CESA, well, Brenda has introduced herself. She heads up the school, and she's supported by Blessings Banda. What CESA have done, which is really amazing, they've pulled together the CESAnet, and that's basically an online platform that has all the BCE material. So you can go in there, you can pick up all the presentations that are up and coming, you can access your reading material, you can access certain templates that you need to use with your assignments. When you do your assignments, you upload them onto the CESAnet, and us as conveners, when we review your assignments, we actually moderate and we put your the comments onto the CESAnet, and you can access them. So at any time you can go in, you can see exactly how you're doing, where are you standing with your assignments, what is your scoring, what is your progress. So it really is a fantastic platform to have at your fingertips for the BCE. Great, I think that's for all from my side. I'm going to hand over to Billy, and Billy's just going to give you a bit more of what your role in the BCE will be if you decide to join us, as well as just looking at what are the minimum requirements if you want to join the BCE. Great.
Thanks, Diane. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Hopefully you can all hear me. You've had a lot of information on what the program is all about, role players involved, and the duration that this program actually takes. Now, we need a bit of explanation as to what the obligations are to be if you do decide to enroll. From a student's perspective, you've heard the requirements, which I'll touch on after this slide. But basically, it's very important that these requirements, as listed, are met if you want to undergo a successful program. From the student side, the attendance of the classes every Tuesday, as Craig has mentioned, is essential. If you do miss the odd one, possibly there's a chance of catching up somehow. But generally, as soon as you start missing something, it puts you on the back foot. That's the speed and relevance of the program that it's imperative that you keep up. The submission of assignments and class activities must be done on time on a weekly basis. Again, if you tend to miss out on submitting on time, you may be able to catch up on one or two. But generally, the assignments, if you're late, and you're often late, you end up in a big hole, which is very difficult to get out of. So we're just mentioning this to you so that you're under no illusion as to what the student is letting himself in for, herself in for, that it is quite intensive. It's very intensive, in fact, and that they've got to be on top of things all the time. The interaction in the class and with other students, we place a very big importance on this, simply because that's where ideas are shared. That's where your communication skills come out, your introverts become extroverts and so on. Very good opportunity of sharing information. So from the student side, in a nutshell, that's what's required. Time management is of the absolute essence. If you haven't learned time management and you enroll on this program, you're going to learn very, very quickly. Otherwise, you probably fall by the wayside, which we don't want. On the other side, from your workplace, the firm that's sending you to this program, the management, the firm, and the workplace mentor that's going to assist you during this very strenuous and intensive period, you will need to give the student the necessary support. It doesn't work if you don't give him or her the support that he or she needs right the way through the program. You need to understand that the commitments and the deadlines required by the student, we make no apologies for the fact that, we hammer the fact that assignments and things that need to be done by the required time does in fact get done within that time period. It's extremely important to progress within the program. And then, of course, we have the BCE team that will also address any students that are non-performing. We do, on the odd occasion, get students who do fall by the wayside. We try and pick them up as much and as far as we can. And we really do pull out all the stops. And this is in consultation with the workplace mentors and the firm itself and the student, of course. And we try and pick them up and see if they can't catch up and get back in line and on stream. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and we do get the odd student that does fall away, which is a pity, but it does happen. But we'd like, hopefully, that whoever enrolls for the coming year, that doesn't happen, and that's why, in fact, we have to having this program session workshop that we're giving you today to make you aware of what you're letting yourself in for. From the student side, it'll be a commitment that it's not a question of, okay, I'm out of the office, I don't have to worry about my work situation, and I can spend the best part of a year doing something else, and I can have a bit of a holiday. Totally wrong idea. It's not going to work that way. From the workplace side, the expectations that the student will be able to do his normal project work while he's working and earning a living, while he's in fact living a proper life. He's got kids and he's got a wife at home, etc. But he will be expected still to submit the assignments and do whatever is necessary to progress within the program. And that generally happens out of hours because the firm is still going to expect you to do work during normal working hours. So please, it's a very fine balancing act, and I want you to be under no illusion that this can get very intensive, can get very strenuous at times. But if you structure yourself properly, and if you have the right commitment, you've got the assistance that has been mentioned in place, you should be able to get through, and we have the numbers to prove that. Okay. All right, Darren, next slide, please. Right, who meets the entrance requirements? Requirements for acceptance to the program are as follows. The student concerned must have a BSc or a BTech degree with 2 years postgraduate experience in a consulting engineering firm. Very important that it does come from a consulting engineering environment, because that is what this program, in fact, is all about. It enhances and assists you in a consulting engineering environment. Or you could have a technical diploma with a minimum of 5 years postgrad experience in a consulting engineering firm again, but also accompanied by a letter of motivation from the employer. Okay, it's very important that these requirements are met, because these will all be assessed when the applications are made, and they will be checked and ensure that the student concerned does in fact qualify, if I can put that in inverted commas, to attend the program, simply because it's going to be quite intensive and quite strenuous. And lastly, as Craig mentioned, there are certain relevant non-engineering qualifications, i.e. business management, finance, HR, and legal, that can come through with a minimum of 3 years experience. But again, if they've got the consulting engineering firm background or the working environment that they're in, that will certainly help with the program, because it is directed towards consulting engineering. Those applicants that don't generally meet the requirements that are listed there, they will be considered on a case-by-case basis and on merit, and provided these are written by written motivation from the applicant's employer, we will consider. But it's going to be difficult to push them through, because our experience has shown that those that don't meet these requirements, these are minimum requirements, that they generally tend to struggle. And the last thing we want to do is destroy any student and then go back to the firm and say there's total waste of time, etc., etc. So we want to make that very clear, that we want the right people within the program, so that helps the student himself or herself, and it assists the firm in growing as well. So it's a win-win situation from both sides. Thanks, Ryan. Okay, so enough from us. We've got 3 BCE graduates from previous years. Bear in mind that the program started, I wasn't there from the beginning, as Craig mentioned. I think it started in 2012. I've been in the program since 2017, to the best of my knowledge. We've got 3 testimonials here, which I'd like to introduce each one in turn. Give them, say, 2 minutes to discuss their experience within the program and how it's helped them to grow as a person, as well as within the professional environment that they're in. So without any further ado, if I can call up firstly Nkululeko Mzulwini. He's from the class of 2016, and he comes from Hatch, and he's a senior mechanical engineer, as you've heard. Nkululeko, if you wouldn't mind, please take it away for 2 minutes, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Billy. So my name is Nkululeko Mzulwini, like Billy introduced me. I'm a senior mechanical engineer at Hatch Abu Dhabi. I graduated from the program in 2016. So just to give you a brief highlight of my experience of the program, the interaction with other engineers from different size firms and different background of experiences was one of the highlights. You get to learn or get to experience other people's mistakes and don't make the same mistakes. That was very valuable. The assignments also allowed me to get more exposure to my firm. Like they said, the program aligns you with the company and the mentor, and you get all the support. So if you want to understand more what happens on the invoicing or financial side of the firm, you have easy access, because the company in essence should be supporting you during the program. So that was a valuable experience as well. It also helped me to understand the industry I'm in and where I work, and it helped me adjust the roadmap for my career in terms of what's expected of me at different levels and what I can plan for going forward, what skills I'll need. The program did give me some of the skills, but it also exposed me to some of the things that I knew I need to understand later on as I take on more responsibilities in my career. Particularly because I had 3 years experience, so it was still early days in my career, so it was very valuable. The next key thing was the fact that even though the things you learn might be structured around South African principles, like this to be South African law, but the principles you learn from the program you can use anywhere. Like I said, I'm working in the Abu Dhabi office, which is outside of South Africa, but the principles and concepts I learned from the course and the experiences still apply across the world. Yes, so the other thing is I still use some of the resources from the program. I actually have the book that is written by Craig here with me. It's actually sits on my shelf anyway, in whichever office I go to. So it's really an interesting and valuable course in that sense. I will give it on to the next person, who is Semi Masisi.
Thanks, Kululeko. Thank you very much. Sam Masisi from the class of 2012 from T Squared Engineers is the owner and managing director. Over to you, Sam. Good morning.
Thank you so much, Billy. Good morning, everybody. As indicated, I'm Sam Masisi. I come from the ancestors, the founder members of the program. I think it started with us. I was one of in the first group. So yes, it's been some time. I saw the first picture, all the guys, Ivo, I saw Craig was there also when the program started and all that. And then I'm happy to see that most of you guys are still there and still pushing it. I'm currently working for myself. I'm working for a company called Tisco Engineers. It's my company. When I started the program, I was actually working for Royal Haskoning. That's about, I left Royal Haskoning, I think around 2013 after forming my own company. So you can see the impact the course had on me. I felt that, look, I'm not allowed space, good space enough to be able to fly, to be able to spread my wings. And, due to the knowledge and the expertise that were exposed by this particular course, I felt that I can do better on my own. I've been running the business now for 8 to 9 years, and we're doing pretty well. We having quite an awesome, employees, some that have gone through the course already. So it is a beautiful course that I will advise anyone to do going forward. What I enjoyed most really from the course, I can say the people that were surrounding us, from the facilitators, like I mentioned, I forgot Zuch. Zuch was also part of our facilitators then. Being around the knowledgeable people in the industry, being around the people that have run the course of consulting for so long, really made an impact and made a difference in what we were a group of, young and old students, new in the, not really new, some of us, but knew the course was new, the content was relevant. And, we made a lot of friends. Some of them are colleagues. We collaborate from time to time on projects that we work with. So, the course or the environment just didn't spread the knowledge only, but created relationships, professional relationships, like I'm saying, and, friendships with, the likes of the people that we met there. Some of the facilitators, one still taps knowledge from them from time to time. Whenever I need some information or I'm stuck somewhere. And that's what we normally also do from time to time. How the career really changed my life, I think it can tell it all. I'm now running a company. It's been 8 years. We're doing well. I'm mentoring and coaching younger guys in the company, and not only in the company. I think Brenda knows that Also with the likes of SAC, PCMP, there's a whole lot of mentoring that one did there. So, and I continue doing it privately. I'm running currently a Facebook group with around 7.1K members where we're just doing mentoring and coaching and advising the young ones that are coming into the career. So the course really, I'd be lying if I say it really didn't change my life. It really changed it to the better. I think in one of the topics that where Brenda said, is there any other info that I will encourage you guys maybe to add on that I found a bit challenging at the moment, especially as a small practice? It's quality management systems. I know that I saw in I was very interested when I saw your modules now. You're giving quality management on project, but I think also maybe focusing on giving quality management in the practice itself, processes that needs to be followed. What is it that we need to do? Because that's where we are actually hitting a snag as small companies when coming to obtaining that quality certificate. But after all, really, I think my time is up. The course is very relevant, and I'll advise any new guys and any graduates that are wishes or their ambitions are to become the consulting engineers and own their own firms one day to do the course. And by the way, the 4 files, I still have the 4 files that I received from the course. I still have them in my office. They are like my Bible. I from time to time refer to them in dealing with every project, aspects of the projects that I deal with. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks for a very comprehensive talk on your experiences within the BCE program. All right, last but by no means least, one of our previous students, since I've been involved, Darren Pillay from Knight Spisol, is a principal bridge engineer, as I say, from class of 2019. Over to you, Darren. Good to see you. Thank you. Darren, you're muted.
Sorry. Good morning. Thanks. Like Spilly said, I'm Darren Pillay from Knight Spisol. I'm a principal bridge engineer. I've attended the course in 2019. Just to give some insight, like has been mentioned during the presentation, as an engineer, you first start off with a big choice of which field do you want to go into, consulting or construction. What the actual course does is gives you a huge insight into how consulting engineering companies work, run, and how to do the best practice in terms of business and pulling it all through your project itself. Critically, from my side, the best part that I've enjoyed was the law aspects of the courses. It was very detailed, very in-depth, and it's invaluable set of notes that we have now. We did go through a lot of real-life casework, and we actually went, personally from my side, went back and tried to find out if there was any claim issues back in with our company itself, and try to identify the different aspects that I've learned with the actual claims that are processed, and try to clearly identify everything that I've learned through the coursework. The actual program changed my life quite significantly. It was 2019, so we were just before the COVID class took over in 2020. It was in person. It was perfectly well orchestrated. It was done exceptionally well. The lectures we had at that time, we had block classes of 1 week. I know now it's changed to once a week, which should be a lot better. I think the challenging thing for us was missing work for a week. That was the most challenging thing about the course at the time. From my personal side, it's changed my life in terms of understanding how my company works. The program pushes you into understanding different aspects of your company, how to communicate with your mentors and the leadership in the company. and getting a face-to-face value with each person in the company that could sway your career and motivate you to actually start pushing towards where you want to be in your career. When I started off with the BCE, I was just a general design bridge engineer. After BCE itself, I got promoted to a senior bridge engineer. And then with a lot of communicating and with a lot of lessons learned from the course, I'm now a principal bridge engineer at Knight Piesel. So it's definitely helped in terms of motivating me and being able to communicate clearly to how I want to push my career. I think that's it from me, Bully.
Thanks, Darren, and good to see you, and good to see that you're climbing up the ladder. Well done. Just in closing from my side, I think I can safely say that none of these speakers were coerced into saying what they have. It's come out of their own experiences, and they have volunteered to be on the program today. I think I'm correct in saying. Brenda will confirm. And then lastly, in closing, before I pass on to Brenda, you've heard what the program's all about. You've heard the experiences, the personnel involved, the experiences from previous graduates, etc. What is all this going to cost, you may ask? Well, that's where Brenda comes in. Brenda, over to you.
Good morning, all. Thank you so much. So I think now we've all heard a hell of a lot. You're almost probably saying to yourself, this is absolutely mind-blowing. And how does this all fit into literally 9 months? That's actually, if you look at it over a lifetime, you're going to get 1 year's worth of information to make up for 10 years trying to learn it yourself in the industry. And then as everybody's working in silos, the learning stuff is going to be more difficult as we go through this COVID in lockdown. So I shouldn't repeat what everybody says, but what we're trying to do is get everybody to register before the end of the year, because we need to assess people's experience, qualifications, and all that stuff, have the right people on the course. So if you book before the 15th of December, then the amount there is 48,900. And if you book after that date, like January and February, it goes up by 10,000. And the reason for that is the work that has to be done, the information that has to be sent out, all that, it actually does cause the program to be delayed. And we would like to start the first trimester in the first week of March, and hopefully then end in November. So now I've had a question here, and probably it's a lot on people's mind, is it a qualification? And I think from what you've heard today and what you know in the industry as far as, say, a MAP program or a mini MBA, you will not get this qualification on the SACWA framework. And therefore, we could not get it registered with SACWA. They weren't aligned, and we wanted to keep it specific, and we didn't want to make it a general management program. So what we decided, that instead of losing 70% of the consulting engineering development information, to keep it to a generic kind of management course, which this is not. This is definitely developing a consulting engineer in the business. We couldn't align it with a qualification, and we didn't want to take away from the program, because otherwise then it's not special, it's not unique, it doesn't speak to the industry, and there's other purposes and other vehicles if you want to go in a management area. This gets you to management, but as a consulting engineer and remaining as an engineer. You don't want to leave engineering. You want to stay engineering and move up to consulting engineering and not leave the engineering aspect and go into management. So this is not a MAC program. So therefore, it's not a qualification. However, it is validated for CPD points. So first of all, it does go to your professional registration. Your company can claim on its WSP and ATR. And if they submit on that, they can then submit this training funding portion to their BE scorecard. So it's part of skills development, and that there's no problem with that as well. There was another question as far as, is there any funding available for this program? Unfortunately not. And what we find is the industry needs to fund it because it's industry specific. It's been developed by consulting engineers for consulting engineers and then presented by consulting engineers. So unfortunately, the CETAs and that don't recognize it because it doesn't lead to a designation. Then another question was, will it help to professional registration? Absolutely. We've had so many students. Every year, they're in the middle of going towards their professional registration, and they have gone and had their interview, even in the middle of this program, and they've come back to us and said that interview with EXA for professional registration was a walk in the park, because what they're looking for is competency. And you might not have done it, but you say, listen, I haven't done it, but, and then rattle off all the stuff that you've learned part of the BCE. And we haven't had one student that has not gone for their, who has gone for their professional registration, that's not got it, even in the middle of this whole process, not even finishing, they finished the program, but they went for professional registration. So as I say, that's what the fees are for next year. And I must tell you, if you think, wow, that's a lot, the information that you get on this course is nowhere near. They've got unique manuals, books, notes. The law module has 100 pages of notes you won't get on any CPD course. So there is training material. We have a whole library, electronic library, with documents that are not seen on CPD courses, specifically written by the subject experts that are on the program. So it's not off-the-shelf stuff. All the program, all the presentations, documentation is all written by the subject matter experts. You won't get it anywhere else. And if you go to the next slide, please, Diane. I just want to move fast. I see we're out of time, but hopefully people can just stay for 5 or 10 minutes. If there's any questions I haven't answered, there is the website that's got all the details on it. But is there anybody that would like to answer a question live?
Brenda, there are other questions you can go through.
Okay, they must have just popped up while I was chatting. Let's go to them. The presentation will definitely be sent to you. Sorry, let's just, I've answered most of them. The course starts before lockdown. Was it in person? Yes. So from the first year to 2019, it was a block week, but now it's definitely all online. So it's the Tuesday afternoon online platform, Zoom. Tuesday afternoon from 1 o'clock to 5:30 is the contact session. So you log in from wherever you are, can be from home, can be from the workplace, as long as you have a stable internet connection. I will get the contact from Sam Masisi for his website for Facebook, and I'll send a part of the presentation. Can the presentations also be emailed to the meeting? Yes, I shall do that. Seems to be all the questions, unless somebody would like to ask something live.
Brenda, sorry,
Yes.
We've actually got another 30 minutes, so we don't have to.
No, it's from 10 to 11, Craig, sorry.
My one says 10 to 11:30.
Oh, okay. Was that the booking? Am I rushing it then on the invite? Sorry. I'll probably put the Zoom meeting till 11:30, in case it runs over.
Okay.
But the webinar was an hour. But has anybody got some live questions they would like to ask? Just put on your video. Okay, so I'm not saying there isn't any questions. You can always stay behind and ask questions. I'm always available. A lot of detail on the BCE website, which is on the CESA School of Consulting Engineering website. And as I say, please get in early. We are opening bookings up to, for the first time, to international students. So looking forward to the students that, or the people that were online from Botswana today registering, and hopefully we'll have some more international. Bakani, how are you?
You're muted.
You muted? Or we're just not getting, we see your hand up, Bakani. Or they can just plug your headphones in. There's a loose connection on your headphones. Okay, I think if you can then put your question in the chat box. And
Brenda, there was a question on the chat line, whether the material that's been presented is available, which the prospective student can take to his management or his manager to show.
So I will send it out afterwards, this presentation, as well as we'll have another BCE information session in October. And so it would be great if you can invite your senior management, HR personnel, and any other colleagues that might benefit from the program.
Brenda, while we're waiting for Bakani, I don't want to ask a question, but I'd like to make an observation. Our three ex-students, graduates that spoke were wonderful and were very supportive of the program, but they were all male. And I just want, yeah, I wanted to make the point that in 2012, we had 3 out of 16 of the students were female. The last 3 to 4 years, the ladies have outnumbered the men every year. So if there are any ladies out there contemplating it, I think we're getting our gender equality right.
Yeah.
Program.
Yeah, that just shows you, Craig, that the volunteers were volunteers today.
Yeah.
I sent it out to all the invite to all the past students, and the 3 gentlemen came back to me saying they'd be interested. I see Bakani's question is, do you cater for clients who are interested in consulting engineering? Yes. This year we've had 3 students from clients, one from DPW, who's doing exceptionally well, and we've also got 2 students from municipalities that have also, it is a challenge. As I say, they have had to work probably twice as hard as the consulting engineering students. But yes, we've had 2 students from municipalities and 1 from DPW. So that was Bakani's question. Alfred, I see you've got your hand up.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
My question is also on the numbers and the chances of one being accepted onto the course. Is compared to the number of applicants.
Yeah.
How is the competition? Because I'm keen on applying, but I would like to know how many students will be taken on. Yeah.
All right. I'm glad you asked that, and that's probably why it is probably a little bit expensive. Is we only accept 25 students onto the course because we want it to be bespoke, hands-on, interactive, and not just rent a crowd. And obviously, if you're interested, put your registration in as soon as possible. If you meet the criteria, obviously that helps your getting onto the course. And if we need to get motivations and everything, get your request in early so that we can go through that process, because it is a first come, first serve basis. As I said, it's the first year we're going to be offering it to students outside South Africa, but South Africa always gets a very good representation. So I think we'll be able to meet everybody's requirements, but there is a minimum of 25. We have 5 module conveners, 5 BCE mentors. So they assist, they each get 4 or 5 students to look after, so that if there's any challenges, they have a mentor to come to within the program, as well as the facilitators, which are the trainers, and the conveners are always available.
Okay, thank you very much.
Their knowledge as well.
Okay, thank you. Since you say it's first come, first serve, you'll be hearing from me very soon.
Okay, thank you, Albert. That's fantastic. And so I must say, last year we did similar webinars and we had a full course. I think it's the way it's being done online. It's much more easier to access than people having to come to Joburg for block weeks, accommodation, travel, and all that kind of stuff. Now you log on at 1 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon, and then log off at 5:30, and you can carry on wherever you are. Anybody else? That's fantastic. But please feel free to contact me. And as I say, we're going to have another webinar in October. I'll be sending out the invite soon. So invite your senior mentors in your company, your CEO, your HR people, and get in there quickly. All right. Craig, would you like to just close the meeting as head convener?
Thank you. Thanks, Brenda. Sorry, I'm just getting my screen organized here. Yeah, thank you very much, and thanks to everybody who attended. It's great. I think I saw we had about 50 participants today, which is a wonderful turnout. Thank you particularly to Sam and Darren and Nkululeko. Your words were very encouraging to us as conveners. It's good to hear your success stories and the good side of the BCE. And we took note of the suggestion about quality management, and I think, in fact, that is Diane's speciality, and we are already doing an awful lot of that work in the program. It's one of the focus points. So yeah, I think that's everything from me. Thanks again. We look forward to seeing you on the BCE program next year. So please do join us. I'm not sure, Billy and Diane, if you want to add a couple of words.
No, nothing from me. I think you've said it all, Brenda. You too. Thanks very much.
Pleasure. Hope to see you all next year. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks. Cheers.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Brenda.